right, hello again, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful first day of conference. It's nice to come together again as a large group after a day of thought-provoking sessions and some excellent catch-up time with friends. I am thrilled to welcome you to our final keynote session of the day, titled Stages and Screens, Telling HD Stories Through the Arts, featuring Tyler DeLargie, Lucas Glanville. I'd like to share a little bit of background about these talented artists. Coming from a family dedicated to volunteering, it wasn't surprising when Tyler DeLargie, a 22-year-old singer and songwriter who has been performing for the last 5 years, made his mark with his first fundraiser. During HD Awareness Month last May, he donated the money he made performing in St. Thomas, on London, and other areas of southwestern Ontario. Music has always been a big part of Tyler's life, so being able to help raise awareness and money for HD while following his musical passion is a great honor for him, and we are honored by his support and commitment. And now a little bit about Lucas Glanville. Lucas is a rising filmmaker with a passion for telling meaningful stories that create impact. With a background in both team sports and theater, he brings a well-rounded perspective to his creative work. Lucas has been familiar with Huntington disease from a young age, as it affected many members of his family. The passing of his grandmother from HD became a turning point, motivating him to channel his personal experience into his art. Through film, Lucas is committed to raising awareness and sharing the stories of resilience and hope within the HD community. Together, these three artists will address the question, how do you turn personal struggle into powerful art? In this moving and inspiring session, they will share how their experiences with Huntington disease have shaped their creative journeys in music, theater, and film. Through live performance, documentary, and honest conversation, they reveal how passion and storytelling can transform pain into purpose and art into advocacy. Now I'd like to introduce our session moderator, Megan Bird. As many of you know, Megan has been a dedicated member of our YPAD community and executive. For the past 2 years, she has held the role of YPAD rep on the HSC Board of Directors, and we are overjoyed that she will be continuing her governance work as a fully fledged board director as of this fall. Known by many for her videography, Megan is an artist and creator too. And now I will turn it over to you for the keynote session with Tyler, Lucas, and Sebastian.
Hey, can everyone hear me? It's good volume? Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I am very excited to be your moderator this evening. We're about to begin a very special session, one that blends creativity, honesty, and the deep emotional truth. So we're honored to have Tyler and Lucas and Sebastian with us today. During this keynote, you'll see powerful excerpts of their work and hear firsthand about their experiences with Huntington's disease, their art and personal storytelling. Let's begin by welcoming Tyler and Lucas, whose story unfolds in the documentary Controlled Strong. Before we show the film, I'm going to get them to introduce themselves, tell them a little bit about their connection to HD and what brought them to the stage here today. So, Tyler, maybe we can start with you. That works?
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Shelley, once again, thank you so much for the introduction. Really appreciate that. Hello, everybody. Everybody can hear me okay? Yeah? Fantastic. So like you have heard, my name is Tyler DeLargie. I'm a 23-year-old country singer-songwriter from the St. Thomas, London area, and I am at risk with Huntington's disease. We didn't know Huntington's disease was in our family, and when I was 4 years old, my father, Bob, got diagnosed. His father was not around So we didn't know it was in the family, so it really hit all of us hard. When we were younger, we were looked after by my mom, Sherry DeLargie, and Sherry DeLargie is the definition of a superhero. She taught her 3 kids right from wrong and showed us to never give up. She always sat us down and said, the cup is always half full, never half empty. And I strive to live by that every single day. I also have an older sister who some of you guys might know, Katie DeLargie. She started doing speeches with the Huntington Society at the age of 12. So she got involved at a very early age. Yes, you can. And while my sister was doing that, me being 6 years younger, I would go around with my brother Eric, who was 5 years older than me, and we would start lemonade stands, start doing the walks for Huntingtons, and well, usually while my brother was setting up the lemonade stand, I was going through my mom's purse, trying to find donations myself, until she noticed. From a very young age, all of us kids wanted to be involved. And when I started doing music as a hobby, it was fantastic. When I started doing it as a bit of a career, I remember looking at my mom and saying, I think I can do something very special with this. And she immediately knew what I was talking about. And that leads us to where we are today. And what Lucas and I's goal was for this documentary and for this song was to have it reach you guys and even further. So right now I'm going to pass it off to Lucas so you can hear a bit more about him as well.
I'm Lucas Glanville. I know most of you don't know me. I know more about Tyler and his dance moves. I'm pretty sure he did the worm at one point before you. Yeah. Okay. Are you gonna do that today? Oh, okay. But my Huntington's journey begins when I was a kid, and while I was growing up, my great aunts struggled with Huntington's disease. As a child, I didn't really understand what was going on. I thought they just had wicked dance moves. And as time went on, my grandmother then got Huntington's disease, which made me have to deal with it head on. Which, not really knowing about Huntington's disease and the causes and effects of it, it was a tough journey and a tough awakening. And I wish I had more of this community earlier on in my life and early on in my family's life, because not only has everyone been so welcoming and so assuring of the situations, I've learned so much this past weekend. I did YPAD Day yesterday. I attended some of the sessions today, and what we have here is amazing. When my grandmother passed away, my father decided to take a test for Huntington's to see if he carried the gene, and it came back negative. I went through a lot at the time. Survivor's guilt, not knowing really how to connect with it. Does it mean that I'm still part of the community? Does it still mean that I get a story to tell? And Tyler helped a lot with that and made me feel accepted and seen. And it was a moment where I realized I needed to do something. I needed to use my passion and my heart to show and tell the world what is going on and here today, and show everyone that's in this room and show their story. Which brings me to Tyler and what we did with this documentary.
Thanks, Lucas. Really quick, something I forgot to mention, Lucas and I's story. This one is very special, and for some it's like no other story you've heard. Lucas and I grew up in the small town of St. Thomas together, and we knew of each other, but weren't super close. And then, he knew my dad wasn't well and everything, and we were out golfing one day, and just out of curiosity, he said, "By the way, just a quick question, what does your dad have?" And when I explained Huntington's disease to him, his face went completely white. I've never seen it before, and you can tell Lucas is very outgoing. I thought I just killed him. But he froze and he started to tear up a bit, and he said, "My grandmother has Huntington's." So we had known each other for years, not knowing that this rare disease is in both of our families. And we knew in that moment we had to do something together to change the future of spreading awareness for Huntington's. So, flash forward a little bit, Lucas is in college, and he FaceTimes me, which isn't an unregular thing, and he said, "I have to do this project in film school about making a documentary. And with your story, I would like to make the documentary on you and how you use music to cope with Huntington's." And immediately I said yes. There was no question I was going to do it. So he gave me the rundown. It was very slim at the time because he was just pitching the idea. He said, "It's going to be called Controlled Strum, and we're going to base it all around you. We're going to bring you in, ask you questions. We're going to come to some of your shows. It's going to be great." And I said, "Perfect. What do you need from me?" He said, "Absolutely nothing. You're good." I can't just do nothing in a situation like that. So we got off of FaceTime, and at the time I was actually struggling with laryngitis. I couldn't talk, I couldn't sing, but I sat down with my guitar and I silently wrote a song called Controlled Strum for the documentary. I knew there had to be a pivot point in this documentary, and that's what I wanted to help create. So with Lucas's idea of the documentary and the song made, Lucas will tell you a bit more information about the documentary and what we went through making it.
We didn't make that up, by the way. That's all true. Like, it does sound like we made it up, but we didn't. That all, like, at the golf course, that all happened. While making the documentary, I exposed a lot of people in the crew to Huntington's. We actually attended the Niagara Falls conference in 2023 and talked to some people and discussed with people, and it was a great way to show crew members who had no clue what Huntington's was some information to understand more about what we were making. While making the documentary, it was kind of like an emotional, therapeutic way of dealing with it. There's a lot of things that Tyler and I had to come head on to, and a lot of things that we discussed about and had to feel raw and open to discuss about. Actually, one of the producers at the time was sitting in to see how the interview was going, just to make sure everything was going right. And he ended up saying I think we did like an hour and a half interview, and I heard sniffling, and I turned around, and he's in tears crying. And then after the interview, he came up to us, and he just said, "That's some powerful stuff," and gave us a hug. That, to me, is what this is about, and why we made Controlled Strum. It's to show people who don't know about Huntington's that story. And I think we can probably go to
Yeah, so now it's Lucas and I's pleasure and honor to show you guys the documentary Controlled Strum, followed by the music video for the song. Thank you, guys. How's it going, man?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How you doing?
Good.
This is crazy. Hello?
Hello?
How's it going? Are you crazy?
Good, very good.
I'm super excited about the song I'm making for this documentary. Same title as the doc, A Controlled Strum.
Excited, nervous, everything.
Cool.
Everything.
Okay, cool. It's the Red 500.
Yeah.
This is my baby.
So his vocals.
Oh, Tyler, best baseball player I've ever coached.
Pretty good for the first chorus.
Yeah, he's a beaut. He's a beaut. We love it.
I don't know, I've known him since we were kids. He's always been a fantastic dude. I don't know, always nice to be out. Again, there's a million people here that love him, so that tells you enough about him.
I can do, if you only had one shot, one opportunity,
Wait, what the hell? Play your last.
would you take it? Or would you just let it slip away? My palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes from laughing, opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking now, everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, home for plow. Snap back to reality, oh, there goes gravity. Oh.
My name is Tyler DeLargie, and right now I'm a full-time employee at a home hardware, but I am living my dream on the weekends by being a country musician. My brother is 5 years older than me. He was a massive role model in my life growing up. My sister was kind of the mom figure when mom was at work. She has been by my side through music and life. Still to this day, she still is that mother figure in my life. But obviously, the top tier mother figure is my mom. She is my superhero. She is there whenever life gets tough and helps guide me through every single situation that life throws at me. I started playing music 11 years ago. My grandfather on my dad's side bought me my first ever guitar. He played guitar himself, but all four of my grandparents heavily influenced me in country music. If it was bluegrass or the classic country, I always grew up listening to it, and that's where my love of it started.
I always like to do something special for their 5th and their 10th birthday, and I booked him a birthday party at Studio Arts in St. Thomas. And wasn't sure how that was going to go, but it was an unbelievable experience. All the kids by the end of the birthday party were playing a song. Tyler got right up there playing guitar and singing. So we kind of saw this was really something he enjoyed doing, so we enrolled him in classes right away, and he took right to it.
For my fans, I guess you could call them, Georgia is a very big one. It's a very poetic song.
On my first date, that's when I fell for you. Oh, Georgia, you leave the people with a smile. Their hearts pump for a while with the little things you do. 'Cause you
Amazed. I'm sometimes in disbelief because, you know, as a parent, you sometimes think of your kids as when they were small. So to see him and the reaction of the crowd is quite amazing.
So Georgia, this is
Alrighty, and we're back, just like that. Everybody still having a good time so far? Yeah? Alright, well, we still got another 2 hours, so make sure you get your drinks. We're gonna have a good time. Got a request for this one, or this artist, again. Oh, you look like Luke Combs. I know. Hope you guys enjoy. Sunday morning, man, she woke up fighting man.
I think my music is taking off right now, which is something I would have never expected. I'm getting streams on all the platforms. The radio station has picked up my song. I see my songs going very far in the future, and that is in the most humble way possible. My dad, he is such a massive fan of my music, and I don't think he fully understands what some of the words mean.
I met Bob at a wedding. It was his brother's wedding, and I worked with his brother. And Bob was very outgoing, very easygoing.
From what I've heard from his childhood friends, he was a massive nerd. He was playing Dungeons and Dragons with his buddies and doing all that, but my dad was also a hero.
Bob didn't have enough money to do his last year of university, so it was a friend of his dad who was in the Navy, who finished his career out in the Navy, who suggested Bob join, and Bob did. And he ended up joining, I think it was 8 months before the Persian Gulf War broke out, so he had no idea he'd be going off to war. And then he did his service through the Persian Gulf, and then decided not to re-enlist.
Thank you guys so much. Everybody having a good time so far? Yeah, everybody's enjoying it? Okay. Raise your hands if you know what Huntington's disease is. Got a few hands, probably about 5 or 6 hands. So my father got diagnosed with Huntington's disease when I was 4 years old. You learn to rise above it, and that's what music does for me. I wrote a song called Controlled Strum. So I hope you guys enjoy it. This will be like the only slower song of the set, so just bear with me for this one.
Huntington's is a devastating disease. It's, you can probably describe it best as a combination of having ALS, MS, Alzheimer's all at the same time.
I think Huntington's is a very horrible thing that happens to very good people. It's a brain disease that has slowly gained masses over Canada, and it's one of those things where you can't even really describe what Huntington's is until you see somebody with Huntington's.
We had no idea Huntington's was in Bob's family. Over the years, in Bob's mid-30s, late 30s, I noticed differences in him. Maybe movements, things like that. And it wasn't until one of our friends, it was after we moved from Mississauga to here, one of our friends came out for the weekend, and she noticed what I'd been noticing, which gave me kind of confirmation something kind of was going on. So I found a neurologist in London, went in to see him. He did some tests and said I can kind of figure out what's going on through a blood test. DNA kind of a thing. So we did that, and he said we wouldn't get the results till September. During that whole time, I was probably 90% sure it was going to come back Huntington's. Bob didn't think, he thought he had MS. And then sure enough, in September of '06, we went in and found out it was Huntington's.
Me, nor my brother, nor my sister know the outcome of our future. We have not been tested yet. With that being said, we are living our lives. My sister's a scientist. My brother works for the Ministry of Wildlife, and I'm living my dream as a musician. When I started doing live shows, my dad was already in a long-term care facility. My dad has never seen me perform live. Hopefully, there will be one day where I can even go into his long-term care facility and do a show there, but it's my goal to make sure he sees me perform live. it was the last time I showed him one of my songs. He looked at me and he said, "I'm crying. I'm really proud of you." And in that moment, I looked into my dad's eyes and I knew for a fact he knew what was going on, what was happening. I've showed him pictures of my shows, the audiences I've played in front of. I know when he said he was proud of me, that's fully accurate. I know I'll find my way. Just one second. I'll find my way. On these trails, I know I'll find. Okay, we're good.
In this small town where dreams are born and die, I strum my guitar beneath the moonlit sky. Life is a hard road, full of twists and turns, but I keep strumming as my heart continues to learn. I'm a controlled strum in a world that's so untamed. Through all the highs and lows, and knowing my spirit will remain. I've seen my share of battles, I know I felt the pain, but I keep strumming through pouring rain. I know I will not rest till my job down here is done.
Amazing. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's...
No, good song you wrote.
What?
He wrote that.
I know.
Okay.
It's amazing. Did you like it? I'm gonna cry.
On this trail, I find my strength. With every chord I play, I know I'll go.
So, this was my dog Tanner. He was my best friend growing up. I forget how old I was when we got Tanner. It's a funny story how we got him though. We got him from a breeder and we went to the house and all of the puppies had escaped and they knew exactly which one had knocked the gate over, and it was Tanner. So yeah, it was just perfect. I feel like in a weird way Tanner tied our whole family together. He was the best. He had such a personality for such a small dog. He was incredible. Yeah, he lived till when he was 13 years old, so he had a really good life. Yeah. Some of these pictures are just incredible.
I've seen my share of battles, I know I felt the pain, but I keep strumming through pouring rain.
And speaking of class, yeah, that's Tanner.
Thank you so much, Tyler and Lucas, for sharing your incredible stories with us. I know I looked out a bunch of times and I saw a lot of eye wiping in the audience. myself included. So thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability and just really showing, you know, the beauty of the art in Huntington. So how we got here, let's take it back to the beginning and basically talk about what made you decide to basically share your art and kind of get into art with the Huntingtons.
Yeah, 100%. Like I had mentioned before showing the dog, I learned about Huntington's at a very young age, and for the longest time, I just thought my dad was different than my friend's dad, right? I didn't know much about it. Like I mentioned, as I grew older, there was more fundraisers. My mom was the London chapter president for a while, so we did a lot of work through them. And then once I picked up this guitar, I knew I needed to do something with it. And that's where, when we start from the beginning, it was nice doing the lemonade stands and maybe me and my brother pulling in $25. But now to the stage we're at, it's very crazy to look at, but I'm blessed it's turned out this way.
Amazing.
I would say I watched a lot of movies as a kid, maybe too much. I think that was like most of my dialogue was just movie lines. Going to my grandparents and watching Ghostbusters at a very young age was like a very formative part of my childhood. And experiencing that with my grandfather and my grandmother are things I can't look back at. It's things I want to now do for everyone else. I want to make film for people to have that experience with their loved ones too, and look back at their time and their childhood, remembering those moments when they get scared, laugh, or cry with the people that they love. The moment that made me want to put my film love and life into Huntington's project was when my grandmother was getting pretty symptomatic, and she was pretty much nonverbal at that time, and I was walking her through the hospital, knowing it would probably be, you know, one of the last times I see her, and she stopped and looked at me, grabbed me on the shoulder, and she cried. That's something she'll never get to say or express to other people. So I now feel like it's my job to help show that story through film, because I get to experience that, I get to do that. She didn't, and she deserved to.
How's your art shaped by Huntington's? So, how's your art shaped your relationship with Huntington's, rather?
Without making this documentary and getting more involved in HD, I wouldn't be here right now, and I wouldn't have had this weekend that I've experienced so far. Making art and showing it to others allows you to be part of other people's lives, and because of this documentary, I'm now part of all your guys' lives and all the wonderful people I've met this weekend, who I have been able to share with a lot of experiences and a lot of emotions with, which is something I will hope to see more of in the future.
Could you repeat the question?
I can. I'm really glad that I have my questions written down. It helps. So basically, how has your art shaped your relationship with Huntington's disease?
Yeah, it's when I first started playing music, even when my mom signed me up for lessons, it was definitely a coping mechanism for me, just like the Game Boy. where that was my getaway, was something would happen and I would be downstairs playing guitar. It was probably around the age of 15, 16 where I started to put my creativity of my life into my music. And I'll never forget the first day I wrote about my personal life experience. And it was so therapeutic for me, where it gave me a sense of comfort on where I was coming from. And you know, the Controlled Strum was my first song strictly about Huntington's, but I've written songs about having hard times, and a lot of that's about Huntington's too. It takes a toll on everybody's life who is affected by it. And the writing of my songs is such a comfort for me, and that's really shaped my relationship with Huntington's, where, you know, some things I would struggle with before, but it helps ease my mind and calm me down, and yeah, that's how it does it.
What kind of response have you gotten from the HD community with your wonderful documentary?
Well, this is kind of the first time I'm really showing numerous members of the HD community my art. I feel seen. I mean, literally, y'all are looking at me right now. Like, a lot of eyes. But it's. Are you looking at me?
How was your time? Here we go. I'm married, huh? That was a response to the Lindsay family. Eric and Katie, how were their responses to the film? Maybe that's a good question.
Say again, sorry. I'm lost in your eyes.
Okay, the response with Tyler's sisters.
Oh, yes. It's been, I mean, Sherry is, I mean, such a wonderful light of a person. You think Tyler is, but Sherry one-ups him, so. Having that experience with like his family and having like his brother, who I actually had never met, come up to me, and the first thing is shaking my hand and saying, thank you. That means a lot. And even my relationship with Tyler, without like us kind of finding out like Huntington's is a part of both of our families, I don't think we would be as close as we are now. We are brothers now. We are brothers now, and he literally is like a second family to my family too, and that's the stuff that being part of the community does, and art.
Makes it worthwhile, for sure.
Well, this question is amazing because I want to give a shout out. There's a few surrounded, but I want to give a shout out to the YPAD family that was with us. I love you guys. The moment I shared the documentary on social media, my message inbox flooded with the YPAD community. Sorry, I'm getting choked up now. My first ever YPAD day, my first ever conference was 2 years ago in Niagara Falls. And before that, I had my brother, my sister, and Lucas. And in anybody's head, it's, I'm alone through this. Like, sure, Lucas understands, my sister, my brother understand, but they aren't me. They don't get it. Well, that room yesterday was filled with people who totally get what I am going through, and that was a feeling I never felt before. So when they get to see this documentary, and I have a whole nother family coming to my support to make sure I'm okay, to say congratulations, it meant the absolute world to me. So instead of you guys congratulating me, I want to thank you guys for being my family and
by Huntington's disease, and it was our youth chapter for those under 35. So if you're under 35, please reach out and join, because it's a great time. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. What challenges have you faced in telling, such raw stories?
There's so many. So many people are so accepting of it, but you definitely get into interesting cases when bringing up such raw emotion and trying to explain. Like I said in the documentary, it's really hard to explain what Huntington's is. You really have to see it. So I was blessed that there were more positive things to be said through spreading awareness and everything than negative, but there's definitely things that people are going to say and people are going to do, and the best thing to do is look at the community around you and shed that positive light on what you're doing, what we're doing. There were so many times where Lucas would send me a video of him crying in the studio, editing the documentary, just ready to quit. It was like, this is too much. But we fed off of each other because we knew this is something that we needed to do. And we remained positive through it all, and that's what came up out of the documentary and song there.
I think that's super important and super powerful too, right? Rely on your people. And whether that's, attending one bad day or sending a video in your emotional state, either or, you gotta lean on your people, right? All right, same question, Lucas.
For me, I'll take more of like the art side of things. A lot of people are scared to be vulnerable and to get into the art scene. It's not seen as a very profitable future. It's not seen as a thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get a 9 to 5, live your life, get a house. So the challenging part is definitely that push into being vulnerable and going more into art and showing your story. I'm very lucky to have a very passionate and caring family like my mom, who's here today. This is the first So I kind of want to end on the message of do it. Whatever story, whatever you want to say, whatever thing you want to do in life, do it. You all have a story to tell, and everybody needs to listen. Everybody has something that they have to give the world. Don't be scared of saying something. Don't be scared of going into your passion, because that's what we need and that's what the community needs.
Fantastic, yeah. Final words.
I'd like to add something. Lucas and I were having a conversation about this last night. And, first of all, we would like to thank all of you for coming and listening today. We really appreciate it. But we want to make sure that you guys know, if you guys have a hobby, if you guys have a job that inspires you to do something and you want to use it to spread awareness for Huntington's disease, Lucas and I are extending an open invitation. Message us, let us know what you guys are trying to do, and we would love to help you as best as possible. We're, like we said, we are a big family here. So if you have something you want to get done and spread awareness for Huntington's, please reach out, and we would love to give you a hand with that as well.
Just in the front row, as I know the entire community is very proud of you both. So it has been an honor sitting up here with all three of you guys today, and thank you all for coming and listening to our stories. And, I'm going, oh yeah, where are you, Denise? I'm gonna pass it over to Shelley.
Appreciate it.
So that was pretty fabulous, guys. Thank you so much. I wish Sebastian was able to stay to the end, but so appreciative. And Megan, thank you as well for your great job moderating. Tyler, Lucas, and Sebastian, it was truly inspirational. I'm really impressed by all of your talents. As a community, we are so lucky to have you as members, helping to raise awareness for Huntington's disease in such creative ways. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your talent, and your personal stories with us.